Hey everyone, it's Kat. Welcome back to my lair, and I'm here in the place where I hang out all the time, all the day, all the night, and I make music, and I make noise, and I drink beer, and it's awesome. Today I'm drinking delicious Lawson's Finest, and it's Super Session number 2 ale, all the way from Maine, which Maine has delicious beer, let me just say. My bae brought it back. So I thought it'd be fun today to do a tutorial on how to make a song in Logic Pro X, which is what I use to make demos. And it's going to be a super simple tutorial just to help you get going if you've never used it before or if you're just kind of making the leap from GarageBand, but perhaps it'll be helpful. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to click and go into Logic Pro X, which you can get at the App Store. It's about $200. It's a great program. And if you're coming from GarageBand, you'll notice a lot of similarities. And let's get started. So we're going to do new for a new project. And once you're in the interface here, you're going to be asked what sort of input you'd like. So we're going to use software instrument for now, which means we're going to be using my MIDI keyboard to input sounds into Logic. You can also use audio if you're doing something direct into your interface, like my Duet USB is what I'm using as an interface. Drummer track allows you to make a drum track, which we'll explore later, and guitar or bass is if you're also feeding your guitar or bass into your interface and then into Logic. So we're going to create a software instrument now. So by default it comes up as electric piano, and I often like to change this, so you can just go through. You can go through the presets, and then you can also make up your own as you go along, change settings and sounds, etc. So let's try and make a song. So since we have this going, and I have my keyboard is all set up in there, just going to turn up the speakers just a little bit. Okay, so up here you have your project. So right now it's in the key of C major, which is by default C major, and 120 BPM, which is beats per minute, and that's the default, and 4/4 in your time signature. So let's keep it here for now, nice and simple. Here's your metronome. If you want to count in, it's right here, and if you just want it to keep the time, right there. So let's start by just putting down a little bit of a groove. Let's try this one more time. Okay, so now we just had that, and we're going to clean this up to the next bar by moving that over here. So, perfect. And if we loop this, which if you hover up here and that becomes, you can start to loop, and as you see it lines up with your bar, so it should work with your tempo. Okay, excellent. So there we have our little loop. For this purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to loop it across there. So a shortcut to get another MIDI track or a software instrument is you highlight this track just by clicking it once, and you press Command D, and it duplicates it. And once you have it there, I think let's do a different sound. So we're going to click up here to the library, and we're going to pick a different sound. So I think I would like to do some sort of synth. So let's do a pad, and there's tons of different ones, presets, and again, you can have plugins, you can buy plugin packages, you can create your own by modifying these. So let's do, what is this? Sea of Glass. So let's try, and we'll add a little second part. Alright, so we're getting epic in there, up in there. So here I'm going to expand this until it gets to that bar, and then I'm going to loop that so that we have an evenly marked bar marks, and that will loop pretty well across the whole thing. And again, this is just demonstration, and by no means is this song going to be amazing. It's just going to be helpful if you're learning this. So now that we have these two tracks, and you kind of want to maybe you want to mess with a groove or try and figure out if you like a drum beat or you want to try something different. So here's an opportunity if you want. Sometimes it's helpful before you design your own beat to kind of see what ideas you like. If you want to have an industrial feel, if you want to have a dance feel, if you want to have a rockabilly sound, it's kind of an interesting way to try new things out. So you can go to File, and you go to, Track, and you go to New Drummer Track. And it's going to pop in a drummer track right here, and you automatically get this guy named Magnus. So Magnus already knows your time signature. They've already popped in drums here. So we can see how this sounds, and not gonna lie, it's probably gonna not sound nice. Okay, so that's not bad. It's not the worst. It could have been worse. So if you double click here, oops, you have the opportunity to see sort of what is going on. So if you want this, right now it's set to loud, you can bring it down to be softer, you can make it more complex, and it will actually change the drum wave form there. And by default, I think 8 bars in, there is a chorus type, so a secondary drum beat, which is usually a little bit different. So this one has a kind of a crazy thing going on. So I'm going to make that a bit quieter, and I'm going to take out the claps because we don't need those. So right now, my only suggestion if you're working with these kind of drummer tracks, at least if you're showing other people the tracks that you're kind of making, try and get the volume the same in these two, because it's going to be noticeably different if you have a dropout, and it's it's just kind of annoying to listen to. So you have your drummer track, so we can just, if you want, we can just easily copy and paste this. Boom, 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 boom. Done. Done. Highlight, delete. And alternatively, if you wanted to mute this, the M means mute, S means solo. If you want to just hear this, you press S. So if you want to mute that, and let's make our own beat, why not? So we go to Track, New Software Instrument Track, automatically pops up again. Electric piano is the default. And you can go to, let's go to Electronic Drum Kit. I will go to Drum Machine. Let's go down to a classic Boutique 808. Alright, so say you want to make your own, so let's try it out. And I'm using a MIDI keyboard, which I'll show you in the video, and it's basically just connected to my computer, and it's giving control so I can play the drum kit on my MIDI keyboard. You can also use things like Machine or other sort of sample pads to control, but I'm using just a regular M Audio key station. There's your count-in. Simple. Again, just for this basic tutorial, I'm just going to do that. And I will get into quantizing and stuff like that to line up your loops later in a later tutorial. But for now, just showing you how to record, how to actually do it. So if we go back to the beginning, spacebar to play, turn off your metronome if you just want to hear the drums. So there you go. So now you've created a regular little groove and a little bit of a pad and a drum beat. So let's say you want to make your drum beat sound a little bit nicer, kind of just stock here. So you can double click this and it opens up the control panel. So you can change up the reverb. So let's solo this while we're doing it. And you can add and increase and decrease the sort of drums that are going into your beat, depending on what you've done. And the EQ as well, so that sounds better. There. So now I suppose we should do some vocals. So let's do, so your new track, and you go to New Audio Track. So this is your monitor. So if you have speakers on like I do, which is stupidly, didn't check that I had my monitor, and that will feed back. So turn off your monitor or have headphones in, which is probably the smarter thing to do. So I'm going to put some headphones in while I record this. And again, I'm using the Apogee Duet USB interface here. So again, back to the start of the track, and if you want, you can have your metronome on. I don't really need it for vocals, so I've turned it off. And we're just going to hit record. This is my very first tutorial. Alright, so now that we have that, we're going to actually take this audio, because right now it's going to sound very dry and loud. It's very loud. So we're going to just do a preset for now. We're going to do voice. Let's go down to just basic tracking vocal, and it adds by default a little bit of reverb. And you can even throw some delay on there if you want. Some echo. Great, so now you have a vocal track. So I'm just going to clean this up, and if you highlight over the edge of a track and you get this little square guy, drag it in and you can clean up the sort of breaths and whatever strangeness. And if you have a trackpad, you can 2-finger out to zoom in and zoom out, etc., which is helpful for cleaning up tracks. So we're going to do that, and let's do another. I'm going to duplicate this track and make sure this has record. And if you're using headphones like I would normally, I would have the monitor on and obviously the speakers off, but for this demonstration we're just going to leave that as is. And get your count in. Great, so there we have it. 2 tracks, a bunch of MIDI controlled sounds, and now we're just going to show a few effects and then I'm going to wrap it up. So if you highlight this and you go to information, which is the I, and you get a little, these are all the effects that are currently on it. So by default, your tracking vocal has all these things. So if you click this empty space here and you go down, let's do a chorus. So if you go to modulation and go to a chorus and do mono stereo, and we can hear how it sounds by soloing it. So let's make it really intense. So there you have it, a few basic effects and a little bit of a basic breakdown on how to actually make a demo track in Logic Pro X. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know how I did. It was my very first tutorial, and I'd love to know how to make a tutorial better, or let me know what you loved or hated about it. Leave a comment down below and give a thumbs up if you liked it. And also, while you're down there, please hit the subscribe button, because I try and make videos as much as possible while I'm recording a new album. So if you want to find me on the internet, you can find me at The Real Cat Burns on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find me KASHKA Music at Facebook and Tumblr, and you can find me at KASHKAmusic.com. Hope to see you soon, and as always, stay cool. Roll out the track.